Hello crafty friends and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing 4 clean, simple and elegant card designs all made using just one stamp set. I really want to show you that you don't need a ton of supplies to create beautiful cards. With a single stamp set and a few ink pads or some colored cardstocks or even plain white cardstock, you can make stunning projects with ease. For today's card, I'm featuring the Wildflower Cuttings stamp set from the brand new Friend Like You release by Simon Says Stamp. This video is also part of day 2 of the Simon Says Stamp blog hop, where you'll find loads of inspiration from an incredibly talented lineup of designers. Be sure to check out the description box below for all the details and don't miss out on grabbing the U2 stamp set. It'll be automatically added to your cart with any purchase from the Friend Like You release until supplies last. I will be using the Wildflower Cuttings stamp set from the newest release. It's a 6 by 8 inch set that features delicately illustrated branches and cuttings, some adorned with those lovely blossoms, as well as a beautifully curved vase designed to hold 2 stems. Now, there's also a slim strip of floral tape that is included to add a subtle decorative touch to your scenes. The set comes with some thoughtful collection of sentiments, which include thank you for everything, just for you, I hope you're feeling better, thinking of you today and always. Now these sentiments make this set perfect for creating heartfelt cards that celebrate courage, appreciation, or simply offered comfort and encouragement. Coordinating dies are also available and can be bought separately or as part of a combo bundle that includes both the stamp and the die set. I'll be pairing these beautiful floral stamps and heartfelt sentiments with some fun, vibrant colors from Simon Says Stamp's Positively Saturated Ink collection. And to finish things off, I'll be adding a touch of shine and sparkle using the Positively Dazzling Gems for that perfect final touch. I'm starting with an A2 size panel positioned on my stamp wheel. Using the Simon Says Stamp Grid transparency sheet for alignment, I'll begin by stamping the sentiment before adding any of those floral elements. I chose the sentiment which says, thinking of you today and always, and stamped it in the beautiful teal shade, which is ocean. This is easily one of my absolute favorites from the entire Positively Saturated Ink collection. I place the sentiment in the lower right quadrant of the panel, and from there we will begin building a soft floral arrangement around it to create a balanced and an elegant background. I stamped the sentiment twice to achieve a clean, crisp, and more saturated impression. I've been using these inks for a while now, and they've become my go to for both stamping and ink blending. Now, these are dye based inks with a quick drying formula, and since they are also water reactive, they work beautifully for all your watercolor techniques as well. Now that my sentiment is stamped, it's time to work on building the floral background. For this design, I chose to use one of the delicate branches from the stamp set and stamp it multiple times around the panel. Rather than having a single floral focal point, I wanted to create a full elegant background using repeated stamping. Since I'm aiming for a clean and simple aesthetic, the only pop of color on this card will be the ocean ink that I used for the sentiment. The rest of the card will remain classic black and white. To stamp the branch image, I used VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is a pigment ink that's great for capturing fine details and intricate lines. Now, if you plan to color your stamped images with alcohol markers, I recommend switching to the Memento Tuxedo Black ink instead, since it's Copic safe. And for those who want to add a bit of extra shine and dimension to this background, you could also sprinkle some clear embossing powder over the stamped branches and heat set them to get a beautiful glossy effect. I continued stamping the branch repeatedly around the sentiment to build the full background. Just a quick tip, be sure to clean your stamp well between impressions, especially when repositioning it around the card panel. You might notice a few smudges here and there, as I did, but don't worry, we'll cover those up later with a few embellishments. Originally, I had only planned to stamp the floral branches on two ends of the card panel, But once I saw how striking the black and white design looked paired with that bold teal sentiment, I couldn't resist filling in the rest of the background. I continued stamping the branches on either side, filling in all the empty spaces to complete the look. I absolutely love how this card front turned out. It's clean, elegant, and so visually balanced. This is definitely a layout you can recreate easily and even mass produce in different color schemes to suit various occasions. Like I mentioned earlier, you could take it a step further by heat embossing the stamped branches to add some shine and texture, or even coloring in the leaves for a completely different look. The versatility of this stamp set really shines through here. Whether you keep it minimal or go all out with color and embellishments, you're sure to end up with a beautiful card every single time. Here's a closer look at our finished panel. You might notice a few smudges, some along the edges, and even a small one in the center of the branch, but don't worry, we'll take care of those with some simple embellishing later on. Now let's move on to card number two. The concept here remains similar, that is, using repeat stamping, but with a few thoughtful changes. For this card, I stamped the sentiment in black and added color to our background instead. I used the small leaf stamp from the set and inked it up with Perfection shade from the Positively Saturated ink line. I stamped the leaves repeatedly to fill the background, creating a soft and elegant pattern. The sentiment I chose for this card reads "Thank you for everything," and I stamped it using VersaFine Onyx black ink again for that crisp, detailed look. Now, since the leaf stamp is fairly small, I used an acrylic block to stamp the image across the background. However, if you're not confident about getting a consistent impression, I would recommend using the stamping platform to ensure even pressure and clean results every time. I stamped the leaves randomly across the background without worrying too much about their orientation. My main focus was on getting clean impressions and avoiding any major smudges. But honestly, even if a few impressions weren't perfectly crisp, I say leave them be. Those little imperfections can actually add a sense of texture and depth to the overall design. Well, and remember, card making is meant to be fun and joyful. Let's not be too hard on ourselves over small mistakes or happy accidents. It's all part of the creative process, and every card we make carries a bit of heart, and that's what really matters. And with that, panel number two is all set. I'm really happy with how beautifully soft and elegant this background turned out, and the subtle color combination with the black sentiment creates such a lovely balance. Now, let's move on to card number three, where I decided to take a slightly different approach. Instead of using plain white cardstock, I opted for a gorgeous lavender shade called Heather. This cardstock is from the Rainbow Splash collection by Simon's Stamp and weighs 80 pounds, making it sturdy enough for stamping and layering without any warping. For this card, I wanted to create a soft tone on tone effect by stamping the floral images repeatedly across the background. To achieve this, I used Amethyst ink, which is a lovely shade of purple, just a little deeper than the Heather cardstock itself. This creates a subtle monochromatic look that feels delicate and sophisticated. Now, since this floral image is relatively small, I again chose to stamp it using an acrylic block rather than a stamp platform. This gave me the flexibility to place the images exactly where I wanted it and allowed me to work quickly to fill the entire background. To complement the beautiful floral background, I wanted to add a delicate floral focal point that would bring a bit of interest without overwhelming the design. For this, I chose to stamp a small, delicate branch onto a narrow strip of white cardstock. This strip will be layered over the background, providing contrast while still letting the soft floral images on the background shine through. I stamped the branch using my trusty VersaFine Onyx black ink, which gives crisp, detailed impressions, perfect for fine line images. As far as that strip goes, this was actually a scrap piece of white cardstock. All I wanted is a thin strip that would comfortably fit the focal point image without overpowering the entire card. I mounted the white strip onto a piece of black cardstock to add some visual interest and dimension. That black border really helps the focal strip stand out and gives the whole card an extra pop. Before adhering the focal strip onto the card background, I stamped the sentiment which says, "Just for you," right below the floral image. The sentiment is small and fits perfectly in that space, complementing that delicate branch without overpowering it. When attaching the strip to the card panel, I positioned it slightly to the right rather than centering it. This subtle asymmetry not only helps the focal point stand out even more, but also allows the beautiful stamped background to remain visible and appreciated. I added color using this gorgeous purple shade called Hydrangea Blend from my Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend marker set. This purple really enhances the tone-on-tone effect and gently softens the white space on our focal point strip. Well, here's a look at the finished panel. I absolutely love how this turned out. The vibrant floral background pairs beautifully with the delicate floral branch and the small sweet sentiment, creating a perfectly balanced and harmonious design. Moving on to the fourth and final card today, I decided to try some ink blending and incorporate one of my favorite color combinations, which is orange and pink. Now for this, I'm using my glass mat from Glassboard Studios, which I absolutely love whenever I'm ink blending on cardstock or working with stencils. These strong magnets hold everything securely in place, making the process much more easier and neater. Now, I don't use this mat often on my videos because of the reflection it causes under my current lighting setup. I'm still working on improving the lighting in my craft room. But if you are in the market for a reliable craft mat, this is definitely something I highly recommend adding to your crafty stash. Now, for this card project, I wanted to create a circle for my soft ink blended base. To do this, I created a circle mask. You can use masking stencils or sheets for this, but I prefer to repurpose the sturdy cards that come in my Simon Says stamp boxes. I cut out several shapes from these to use as masks whenever I need them. For the circle, I used the basic circle shapes die by Simon Says stamp to cut out the mask. I positioned it towards the lower left-hand corner of the panel and secured it with these strong magnets. To protect the rest of the panel, I covered the edges with post-it notes, preventing any unwanted ink from getting outside the masked area. I then blended cantaloupe, sherbet, and sweets ink inside this masked circle, creating a soft, vibrant background that will serve as perfect base for my focal point image and the sentiment. Once I was happy with the ink blending, I decided to add a bit of shimmer to the circle. So, before removing the mask or moving on to stamping the focal point and the sentiment, I gave the area a light spray of shimmer mist to add a soft, subtle sparkle. You'll notice I didn't use my splatter box for this step since I'm working on the glass mat, and cleanup here is super easy with just a bit of water and a microfiber cloth. After that, I carefully removed the mask and the post-it notes. Now I'll set the panel aside to dry completely before moving on to stamping the floral focal point and my sentiment. To clean up, I like to keep a spray bottle filled with water handy. I simply spritz some water onto my glass mat and wipe it down with a microfiber cloth. It's quick, easy, and keeps my workspace tidy. Now here's a look at that beautiful sparkly circle we created. I just love how the pink and orange blended together. It's one of my absolute favorite color combinations. It works wonderfully not only for ink blending but also for stamping projects as well. Once the panel was completely dry, I placed it back onto my stamp wheel to add the sentiment and the focal point image. I started by stamping my sentiment, which says, "Our friendship means the world to me," towards the right hand corner of this panel. Then I stamped the two delicate floral branches, making sure they overlapped slightly to create a natural yet cohesive look. I also made sure that both the branches extended across the edge of the ink blended circle onto the plain white cardstock, just like I did for my sentiment. This small detail helps tie the design together, creating a smooth, seamless transition between the colored and the white areas of the panel. Masking and ink blending selected areas of your card panel is a simple yet powerful technique that you can completely transform your design with. When you combine this with bold black stamped focal point images, it creates a striking silhouette effect that really stands out on your card front. Now, what's great about this technique is that it's really versatile. You're not limited to just one shape like I did here. You can mask off a circle, a rectangle, or even just the edges of your card panel to create interesting borders and frames. Each shape gives a unique look and allows you to experiment with different layouts and focal point placements. Once your mask is in place, you can blend a variety of ink colors within that space. Try mixing bold shapes for high contrast or use softer tones for a more subtle, elegant background. The possibilities are endless. You can play with monochromatic palettes, gradient blends, or even vibrant rainbow combinations, which is something that I would love to try in my next project. Now, this method works beautifully for creating clean and modern designs, and it's also a great way to draw attention to your stamped images and sentiments. It's definitely a go to technique that every card maker can customize to suit their own style and creativity. While I truly love how all four cards turned out, I have to say this one is definitely my favorite from today's set. It's not just the vibrant combinations of the orange and pink that speaks out to me, but also the way everything came together with the delicate stamped imagery, the bold silhouette against the ink blended background, the clean masking, and the soft shimmer from that shimmer mist. It all adds up to the design that feels both fun yet elegant while still maintaining that clean and simple style. With all the designs and the card fronts complete, it was now time to assemble the finished panels onto card bases. For each card, I adhered the panel directly onto an A2 size top folding note card. I kept the construction straightforward to let the design shine. I didn't add any foam tape or pop up the design. To add that perfect touch of sparkle, I used the positively dazzling gems across all of the card fronts. These gems cast the light beautifully and enhance each card without overpowering the design. That is just the right amount of shimmer to tie everything together. To adhere all of the gems on the card fronts, I used the new Positively Perfect Craft Glue by Simon. I have to say, I've really be loving this glue. Ever since I got my hands on it, it's become my go-to for almost all of my projects. Don't let the small bottle fool you. It really goes a long way. I have used it not only for attaching these tiny little embellishments and intricate die cut pieces, but also for adhering an entire background panel onto the card bases. It has a strong hold, a precision tip for controlled application, and dries nicely and clearly, making it an absolutely must have in your crafty stash. Here's a look at the finished card. I absolutely love how it turned out. The colors, the shimmer, and the overall composition came together so beautifully. Off camera, I went ahead and adhered the rest of the card panels to their respective card bases. All of these are top folding card bases. I tried to coordinate the base color with the ink shades used on each of those card fronts to create a more cohesive and polished look. I truly love how each card has its own unique personality. It's amazing to see using just one stamp set, we were able to create four completely different designs, each with its own charm and style. You might also notice a few well placed gems here and there. Some of those are added intentionally to cover small ink splotches and happy little accidents, proof that even imperfections can lead to beautiful results. Let me know in the comments below which among these four was your favorite. I hope you enjoyed today's card making journey as much as I did creating these beautiful cards for you guys. It's always inspiring to see how much versatility a single stamp set can offer. With just a bit of creativity, some ink, and a handful of supplies, we created four distinct cards, each with its own unique style and charm. From bold silhouettes and ink blended backgrounds to soft tone on tone stamping and delicate floral focal points. These designs show that you can stretch your supplies to the fullest. Be sure to check out the blog hop. I have included a link to it along with all the products that I used to create today's cards in the description box below. Please note that all of these links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.